right, so let's talk about the Detroit Lions here for a little bit. So the Lions have been one of the more interesting, one of the more entertaining, and frankly, one of the more fun teams to talk about so far in the season. And Miles, I know you've got a great story about another Detroit Lion that's maybe flown under a little bit of the radar recently, but he's made a big impact on a lot of people, and especially for the Lions on the football field. But before we get into that, Lions fans, like one of the best parts about NFL football, I remember this growing up, was all the cool nicknames that great athletes have. For example, Megatron, the all-time great Detroit Lion. There's a lot of great nicknames in NFL history. One, we want to hear from you in the comment section below. What NFL player's nickname did you think was the best? There's been a lot of great ones. Really interested to hear what you say. Put it in the comment section below. But Miles, what's the latest out of Detroit?
Nick, I think like the classic nicknames like Mean Joe Green or someone that, it's always a classic one, but there's always a lot of interesting ones. And one that Lions fans are coming familiar with is that of Malcom Rodriguez, their rookie linebacker, who has absolutely made a name for himself this year. PFF has ranked him in the top 5 rookies overall in the NFL so far, grading out with a 76.7 grade. So that's very impressive. But Nick, what if I told you that's not even as impressive as it gets? Because not only is he a top 5 rookie, he's a top 10 linebacker overall with his grade.
Wow.
He has done phenomenal so far. And this is the kind of things that the Lions need. In the last 2 drafts, they have been very, very good at picking up really key players to help shift the culture that we talk about for this team all the time. And Lions fans know, Lions fans have seen the change coming here ever since Dan Campbell has gotten in as the head coach, and the front office has changed. They're making big changes, making a culture shift, and they've really been great at selecting talent. So finding a late round steal like Rodriguez is no surprise to Lions fans. Coming in at the 6th round is very impressive to find a guy who comes in day one, week one, and makes a huge impact on your team. Rodriguez has been a phenomenal player so far. I think he's probably been the standout player on defense so far, and that's even Aiden Hutchinson, the number 2 overall pick. Just technically football, he's a great run stuffer. He's been decent in coverage. He knows for the ball. Just overall, Rodriguez has been really impressive so far, and he's been exactly what the Detroit Lions have been looking for. What do you think about his performance thus far, Nick?
So I think with Rodriguez and the Detroit Lions, it's almost like a match made in heaven, right? Because the Detroit Lions, of course, with Dan Campbell, they're all about football playing dudes, right? They don't seem like a team, whether they show it or not, really big into analytics. They're all about, hey, when you put it, go between the lines on Sundays, how good are you at being a football player? Can you make plays on a football field? And that was exactly what Rodriguez's kind of debate coming out of college, out of Oklahoma State was, because this dude was a phenomenal football player, nearly 400 tackles in 4 years in college, but his measurables frankly stunk. They weren't very good. Was not a combine guy at all, was a terrible pro day guy, just didn't line up. And that's exactly the kind of football player I think a guy like Dan Campbell and the staff really loves, because he's good at football. You and I talk about this all the time. Guys who are good at football but look terrible at combines and pro days. That's how you get a lot of the steals. And you can see it with the performance, because it's not just at the linebacker position. I think Rodriguez had an absolutely perfect block on a big punt return, a 50-yard punt return. I think it was against the Commanders. That was, I think, 52-yarder, I think, where he just a football play. He doesn't get a block in the back. He doesn't get a dumb holding call. He just does his job, does it well, breaks a long play. And those are the kind of plays you really love to see. And I think Lions Wire, part of USA Today, talked about the fact that most of the bad plays that this guy makes, that Rodriguez makes, are schematic plays, right? He's kind of, it happens every time you're a defender. The offense calls a good play, you're in a tough coverage, and you get beat. He really isn't being beat straight up at all. And that's how you get a guy who's graded so highly in PFF, because the guys at PFF look at the film and like, holy smokes, this guy's playing like a Pro Bowler out there. And that's exactly what the Lions are looking for. Just a guy who, hey, is he going to run the fastest 40? No. Is he going to be a great shuttle guy? No. But guess what? On first, second, third, and heck, fourth down, if he's playing special teams like he is, he's going to make smart, intelligent, and high quality football plays. And that's why the Lions have looked good, certainly against the Commanders, but really in a lot of times, especially in the second half against the Eagles, they've looked good so far in the early start of the season. And that's why the trajectory is 100% in the right direction.
Yeah, and if you look, it's like doing the little stuff right. If you do the little stuff right, it's going to give big results. And the Lions, in their recruiting, in their drafting, they probably look at the little stuff. And they, like you said, he might not be an all-pro athlete. You know, he doesn't have Trayvon Walker measurables. He's not a freak of nature. But if you look at this guy traditionally, throughout his entire career, he's been a great athlete. You know, he's a state champion wrestler, and that's big. You know, wrestlers always have really great control of their body. They know leverages. They're probably really great at making tackles because they do like blast doubles, crazy stuff like that all the time. Rodriguez definitely knows how to knock someone down. He's proved that on the field. But you got to look at all aspects of stuff. And like you said, we talk about this all the time. Sometimes you just got to look at the tape. You know, if a guy runs, you know, what, a 4.840 or something like that, and you're like, well, he's kind of slow. He doesn't have the speed that we want him to have, or whatever the case may be. But then you look at him on the tape, and he's all over the field. He's making plays in college. He looks like a really good player in college. You kind of got to throw that out the window a little bit and be like, listen, no matter what his deficiencies are, he seems to make it work. Maybe he has play recognition skills to get to the ball a couple steps faster, and that makes up for his lack of actual like 40 times speed. So a guy like Rodriguez, you really got to steal in him just because people look too much into the analytics, and a team like the Lions that you said just loves good old football playing dudes. They saw the football player on the field and they went after him, and it's paid off big time.